Good to see you both. Terry, I want to start with you because you know Simon better than most people do. So please take us inside Simon's mind, if you will, right now. He's got to overhaul this show. He's got to do the whole thing. He's a very smart man, obviously. Seems like a very methodical guy. But do you think, Terry, a little piece of him is panicking right now with the job at hand?
Simon doesn't panic. Of course he doesn't. No, it's not all Simon, as everybody is saying. It was actually the network, when they heard what the producers wanted to do to change things up for next season and make the show bigger and better. Simon wants to make editorial changes. The producers and Simon and the network had a series of meetings, and it was decided that with these editorial changes, they wanted a whole new panel and just to make the show bigger and better. Okay,
and listen, nobody is sneezing at the ratings that the show got, but I do think that the show, to a degree, has been a victim of its own hype, Simon's hype in particular, because you remember, Terry, he bragged that X Factor would get, 20 million viewers and essentially knock American Idol off its throne right off the bat, which is a very big prediction, as Simon is wont to do, but it really fell short. What is his defense for why the show didn't work nearly as well as he had predicted it would?
Well, he always regretted saying that, of course, but I think the show didn't do poorly. The show did very well.
Yeah.
And I was in the UK when the UK version of the X Factor started. And even over there, the show got into its stride, and it grew and it grew and it got bigger and better. And now, of course, it's a huge success. And I really believe that that is what will happen over here in the States. And so does Simon.
Do you get the impression, though, I realize it was a business decision, that he feels badly about letting his friend Paula Abdul down? I know they'll remain friends, but I imagine he's not feeling great about it.
Well, Simon and Paula have a very close relationship, and he was, he always said he was going to use her on the X Factor. He stuck to his word. He used her. He spoke to her yesterday. Everything's fine between the two of them, and they will do something together again. It's not like it's the end of Simon and Paula. They will definitely work together in the future. Yeah,
I imagine there's some disappointment, though, obviously, that it didn't work out. But everybody now, of course, buzzing about who's going to fill those job openings, and a lot of names are being bandied about, right? Simon, of course, had handpicked Paula and Nicole and L.A. Reid and the host Steve Jones, which is really why it was such a stunner when the slate was just about wiped clean. So a lot of names are being tossed around. Who should fill the seats? And among the potentials we're hearing, Mariah Carey's name's being tossed around a bit, Whitney Houston as well, Sheryl Lee Ralph. Who do you think? What do you think of those choices?
I love what you just said, Sheryl Lee Ralph. How about that? I love you, baby. But let me tell you, Mariah Carey is great. I think, wow, wouldn't this be an incredible comeback for Whitney Houston, right off of Sparkle, the movie, and all of that. And we've all seen it before. Whitney Houston knows how to call it just the way it is. Darling, I don't love that. Sing it again. Oh, I can just see it right now. Yeah. She's got it, the X Factor.
Well, the interesting thing about Mariah Carey is there are people on both sides of the fence with that, kind of like when Steven Tyler took the American Idol job, same with Jennifer Lopez. And Mariah fans are on edge right now. I'm seeing a lot of stuff out there on the internet. They hope that she would take the job if it's offered. Her husband, I don't think she would take the job. Nick Cannon, of course, is her husband, and he spoke about it on his radio show. Let's listen to that together.
They're saying my wife, Mariah Carey, is going to be on the X Factor, and this is news to me. Actually, like Nicole Scherzinger, my wife is not a fan of judging people. I think these shows are really good shows, but when you get someone of the status or the, just big time, career-wise, to do these shows, I personally think it's a step down.
All right, that was Nick again on his radio show today. I got to tell you, Nick Cannon, I love you. I disagree with you, but Terry, I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Is Mariah just too big to judge a weekly TV talent competition?
I don't think it's a case of Mariah's too big, but I do have to say that is not a name he has mentioned to me in the last couple of days, so who knows?
So, Terry, what is a name that he has mentioned to you in the last couple of days?
I can't say that.
Not a chance, huh?
What I will say, though, is not only A-list stars, he's looking for interesting people. He keeps using the word interesting, and lots of people have been calling the producers, so it will be It's going to be a surprise. I think there'll be a big surprise.
But necessarily from the music business?
Interesting.